Want to make some content showing off GitHub stuff. I'm sorry, Git Bash steps that I take. I've recently goofed a little bit. Something I've done several times with y'all as I show you around. I didn't branch off of dev before I started my work, which isn't really a problem. You can just do your work, and then when you're ready to make a commit, you can do git checkout -b. So it's like option B for a new branch, and then name whatever you want, and it'll bring those changes with you. We've seen some trouble with that on Git desktop, but for the bash it should just automatically do that. But I have already added files to be staged to be committed. So I always have to double check everything when I do these things. I have so many little options, but I should be able to just get reset to unstage these files, these green ones that are going to be added to what my local commit before I push. And so we see that those are unstaged, so that's a happy thing. And everything that I have done is still there, but the changes haven't been made. And so I made the ground pound effect and imported Doe's sound effects, and I cleaned up a couple files. So what I'm going to do is git add, and I could stop here at rollball content. If you notice, I'm just tabbing when I start typing to autofill things, so you don't have to go through all these directories manually. And what this would do is add every file below the content directory, in and below. But I don't always want to do that. Sometimes I'll open up files and move a little thing around and save it, and I don't want to overwrite any files that someone else might be working on. So I really just want to commit the exact files that are intentionally changed and important. So at the same time, you don't want to leave anything out by doing this, but what I'm going to do, my test map, template map, I do actually want all these changes, so I will leave it like that. In this same command here, this git add, you can just type a space and add a new file. So if I was all in one folder here, I didn't have all these subdirectories, it would just be like add ball.jpg, add car.jpg, and I could just put a space between them. But since I have to navigate through the directories here, I have to type all that stuff out. So I have a specific config folder I want to add, or config file I want to add. I added a new move, or maybe I deleted a move. Anyway, I changed the default input.ini, and I don't necessarily want to add all of those config files. You see them down there. This may actually be separate because that's saved config. But let's say I only wanted to add this specific file. I'll just drill down into config and start typing. And now I've got that input file added. And I don't want any intermediate saved. And this is the default setup with our git ignore. And it's what I want to accomplish with the Git desktop. Those untracked files, it's ignoring, because of my file, the git ignore, everything in and below the intermediate saved. I have one save file that I do want to add that I've just been re-adding on my own for now. And that is under the saved Windows, sorry, config, Windows. And it's the editor per project user settings. This is getting deleted from the Git desktop branches. And what it is saying is make these directories blue when I save a file, or when I compile, save if there's no errors. When I open up a new file, open it in the main window instead of a separate one. That's why we keep getting the message log popping up when you open the project, which is really helpful as a programmer, because you can just kind of tuck it away and not have it come up in your face every time there's a warning. It'll still be clear when there's warnings and errors, and so you don't need that in your face all the time. It can lead you to ignore it, and you don't want that. Let me go ahead and finish this command in case there's more I want to add. And if you're not comfortable with that, you can always just git add content and whatever file you want, and enter each of these things one at a time. And I'll check the status again. So I see in green all of those files, and I'll double check. I don't need intermediate saved. I don't need any build files or binaries. And typically, if you don't recognize something, you don't want it. And the git ignore should be set up to include all the things that are sneaky that you may want. So I've got everything I want. I'm going to do a git commit and option M for adding a message. And what I'm doing here is creating a prototype. Oh. Ground pound effect. Cleaned up ball EP. Imported ground pound sound effects. So these, you want them to be as short as you can while still giving the other person a clear idea of what went on. I wouldn't have to have worked on this content to know more or less what was happening here. You'd have to be familiar with the project to know what a ground pound effect means, so maybe I could have been clearer there, like the balls move ground effect, or ground pound. But now that it's committed, it's all still local. I have to do git push, and I don't think you always have to do it. Oh, I did it exactly the same. I didn't make a branch. Okay. I don't want to commit to dev, so give me just a moment to look and see if I can undo that now that I have added a commit. And still keep the changes. All right, I'll be attempting to move this over. I've got my commit in, but I haven't pushed. So what I'm going to do off of a search here is try the checkout as I've described earlier anyway, and I'll try imp ground pound. And I will try just to push this normally to see if that commit kept on there. Actually, let me start the project real quick and see if I can verify the changes are there. This is what I wanted to avoid accidentally undoing my work. It wasn't a ton, but of course it's always enough that you don't want to lose it. I see my sound files are here. Everything can seem obvious and logical, and then it's just gone, but this did work, so it didn't matter that I had already committed it. So another helpful thing for everyone involved, what we've got is I did work while I was on dev, and I added the changes, I committed the changes. I have not pushed the changes to dev, which it wouldn't allow me to do anyway because of our permission required to merge into dev, but I was still able to check out a new branch, git checkout option B for a new branch. If it was git checkout without the option and I tried to check out imp ground pound 1, it would be, I can't check that out, that branch doesn't exist. Whereas if I did git checkout master, it would be warning me that, hey, you're going to overwrite your changes, you're going to, it would abort that effect. Because I have those changes, it's like, please stash or commit those changes. And stash is like, stick them in the pocket. And whenever you come back to this branch, you can pop it, so get it back out of the stash. And that's what you would do if you're moving things around, moving branches, and you're not ready to commit work, but you still want to go to other versions to check something out. I don't mess with that, just because I'm not comfortable enough with Git, and I'll just, at some point, I just have another copy of the repository, and I'll open that up and check out what I want, and then come back to this one. So I don't think it hurts to play it on the safe side and have extra copies to avoid moving around where you're not comfortable. But now I've got my new branch with all the changes. The commit is still there. I will do git push origin and then imp ground pound. This is a new branch, so I'm publishing the branch if you're using Git desktop. And otherwise, if it has already been pushed before or published before, you're just pushing to it. So it looks like I've got that set, and let's go ahead and verify it. I think I'm signed in here. Cool, ground pound less than a minute ago. And I had it on the other monitor, but you could see that, I was able to verify that I had the content in there. So we can look under the audio here to make sure that I had that as well. And there they are. Thanks, and hope this helps, and if you have any questions, just let me know. I'm going to keep recording these as I can remember, and as I'm doing commits and things, so that you can start to see Git Bash if you're using the desktop, or if you're starting out and you want to learn these.